He's here. Mike, would you call us to order?
Sure. Meeting of the Wheaton Park District Board of Commissioners, February 17, 2021, is called to order. I'll take the roll. Commissioner Vyers.
Here.
Commissioner Morrill.
Here.
Commissioner Kelly.
Here.
Commissioner Hodgkinson.
Here.
Commissioner Fry.
Here.
Commissioner Fahey.
Here.
President Mee.
Here. We have no presentations tonight. However, I would invite anyone who is here to address the board in community input. Anybody here wishes to address the board? Can you, whoever's speaking, can you step up to the podium? Thank you.
My name is Gilda Ross, and I am the sponsor of a group called Reality Illinois, the teen board to the DuPage County Health Department. I'd like to address the board if they could.
Absolutely.
Very good. Students?
Good evening. I am Allison O'Connor, and I'm from Bennett. And with me, I have Jacqueline Yep from Bennett, Justine Rosanich from St. Ignatius, Kevin Pickelman from Glenbard South, Lauren O'Connor from Rosary, and Danny Dorsey from Glenbard West. And we are all here today because we are interested in improving the community and the environment around us. I'm here with a few of my fellow reality group members who feel the same way and want to help share this important information to hopefully create positive changes. We are all members of the DuPage County chapter of Reality Illinois, a statewide movement created and carried on by teens to protect us from the dangers of tobacco and smoking. We want to start off by thanking you for taking the time to listen to our presentation. We highly appreciate this opportunity. Our Reality chapter is made up of students from public and private high schools across DuPage County. One of our goals through Reality is to promote healthy lifestyles, reduce secondhand smoke, and protect the environment and well-being of our communities by advocating for tobacco-free park policies. In order to do this, we researched the impact outdoor tobacco use has on our communities and our health, interviewed representatives from park districts that are already smoke-free or tobacco-free to learn about their experience, conducted surveys to find out how DuPage County residents feel about tobacco-free parks, and picked up tobacco litter from 2 different parks.
Thank you.
There are many serious issues that come with tobacco use in parks. One of the issues is how it affects children and teens like us. We think of parks as a place for people to be active, have fun, and become healthier. But when young people like us see someone smoking or using other tobacco products in a park, it sends a message that it's okay to smoke and that parks are a normal place to do this. The surveys we collected show that many residents in DuPage County use parks several times per month or more. And many of these park goers are families, children, and people who want to be active and healthy. The survey results also show that many DuPage County residents are uncomfortable with smoke and tobacco, especially around playgrounds that their children use. Tobacco and smoking is harmful for anyone, but the harms of tobacco are especially unsafe for children.
Thank you.
Cigarette smoke is dangerous, not only to the smoker, but to those around them. There is no safe amount of secondhand smoke, which has the same strength whether inside or outside. The smoke contains more than 7,000 chemicals. 250 of these are toxic, and over 70 are known to cause cancer. Breathing in even a small amount of cigarette smoke can trigger a heart attack or an asthma episode. Children who breathe secondhand smoke are more likely to have things like ear infections, pneumonia, bronchitis, and asthma. Nobody should need to fear for their health because someone made the decision to smoke a cigarette nearby, and people with asthma and other health conditions should have an equal opportunity to visit and safely enjoy a park. We think a tobacco-free parks policy goes well with the mission of improving the quality of life for people.
Thank you.
Many community members go to parks to exercise and improve their health. When exercising, you breathe in up to 10 times more oxygen as you do when breathing normally. So if the environment is not smoke-free, you can breathe in up to 10 times more secondhand smoke than you normally would. It's not realistic to expect a park goer to ignore cigarette smoke and other tobacco litter. In fact, 45% of DuPage County residents we surveyed have been bothered by tobacco smoke in parks. Many people think it's okay to smoke outside because the smoke will be blown away. But tobacco smoke is heavier than air. It rises at first because it's hot, but once it cools, it drops back down. Wind then spreads the smoke over an area as far as 23 feet away and can remain there for hours. Tobacco use also affects the environment. Whenever we do a tobacco litter cleanup in a park that does not have a tobacco-free policy, we always collect a large amount of litter. Cigarettes are the most littered item in the world, but we usually also find lighters, cigars, and other vaping cartridges. All of these are harmful to the environment that they are littered in. For example, cigarette filters are made of plastic. They take 5 to 10 years to decompose, and they never biodegrade. The filters also contain the exact same toxic chemicals that are found in tobacco smoke. When it rains, these chemicals leak into the soil and the water table, poisoning fish and contaminating drinking water. The safety of park goers is at risk when they go to a park littered with tobacco waste. Tobacco waste is a very big health risk to young children who can end up trying to eat it because they think it's food. In addition, this litter can be harmful for the wildlife living in these parks.
Thank you.
We hope that you will consider adopting a tobacco-free policy in Wheaton. Instead of just creating a smoke-free policy, it makes sense to have a tobacco-free policy because it includes more than just cigarettes alone, like chewing tobacco, lighters, e-cigarettes, and cigars. Tobacco-free parks are usually self-enforcing, meaning that most people police themselves and cooperate with the policy. Knowledgeable community members can also help educate those who don't know about the policy. Posting signs at park entrances and playgrounds and picnic areas and the next to sports fields are important ways to provide clear and constant reminders about the tobacco-free parks policy. We have seen how self-enforcing the policies are by comparing the differences in the amount of litter between parks that have policies in place and parks that do not. Last year, we did one cleanup at Lake Ellen Park in Glen Ellen, which was a tobacco-free policy. Then we did another cleanup at a different park in a town that does not have a policy in place. In all the Lake Ellen Park, we only found 2 cigarette butts. At the park with no policy, we found about 30 times more litter than we found in Glen Ellen. A large amount of this litter was found in and around the playground where a lot of young kids are.
Thank you.
We were happy to find only 2 cigarette butts at Lake Ellen Park because that's not how it always was there. When Reality performed a cleanup at Lake Ellen Park 6 years ago, which is when Glen Ellen did not have a tobacco-free parks policy, there was a massive amount of cigarettes litter. If you were able to adopt a tobacco-free parks policy in Wheaton, it would not only reduce all this litter, but it would also protect families and kids from breathing in secondhand smoke or e-cigarette aerosol. The difference in litter that we collected also shows that when a tobacco-free parks policy is in place, community members naturally cooperate with the policy, making it self-enforcing. We also have a letter of support from Glen Ellen, which we can provide copies of. In this letter, the Glen Ellen Park District states that the community response has been supportive and appreciative. The transition to the more restrictive but healthier ordinance has been seamless and received favorably. The Glen Ellen Park District has also offered to provide assistance and answer any concerns or questions you may have. Our surveys show that the majority of residents in DuPage County prefer a tobacco-free parks policy. I want to make a difference and really hope that you will join the list of towns where you can visit parks with a clean and healthy environment. We think that everyone should have the right to breathe in clean air wherever they may be. There used to be a time when people could smoke on an airplane, in a restaurant, or in any other place of business. But today we are grateful that we don't have to breathe in secondhand smoke in any of these places. We want to feel the same way when visiting a park, and we don't want anyone to suffer with the side effects of secondhand smoke. Please consider a tobacco-free parks policy for all parks in Wheaton. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation.
Anyone else?
I also want to second the students that we are grateful. What we're really asking for is just a more comprehensive policy. You certainly have a policy in place. We'd like to see that include vaping materials, and we'd like to see it throughout the parks, at all places within the park. and that's why the students are here today. So we're really grateful for this opportunity so they can come and share their concerns with you. So we thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I
Yeah,
want to
that's great. Thank you.
I want to thank the group for your time to address the board. I also commend you for your preparedness on and your commitment to this subject matter. And if you're not aware of it, we do have an amendment to our park use ordinance pertaining to smoking that we're going to act on tonight. However, that does not preclude us from making further amendments in the future. Regarding this particular subject, we will take it up at our next subcommittee meeting in March. We've heard you, and we'll discuss it in that subcommittee meeting as a full board. Anyone have any questions for the group?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to salute you all because I think that the generation that's up here has not left the world in the best of shape in terms of the environment and put a lot of pressure on you guys to do this kind of thing. And the fact that you go to so many different schools and are working together, I think it's remarkable. I salute you.
Commissioner Hodgkinson is so mean to us, I'm telling you. No,
I'm the most liberal one on the board.
Terry, I'd like to say something too.
Absolutely,
if I
Ray.
may. I commend you all for coming here tonight. I know that takes some courage to come up before a board and speak your mind. I smoked for 15 years and got cancer and was fortunate enough to survive it. So I know what cigarettes do to you and do to your body. So, I think anything we can do to curtail smoking in our parks and in our facilities are around our kids is a positive thing for the future. So I commend you and thank you for coming tonight.
Any other questions you may have of the board or statements you wish to make? You're welcome to stay for the remainder of our meeting, or you can take your leave, whatever you please.
Yeah, right.
Yippee, I'm glad it's you and not me.
Thank you again.
Thanks so much.
We'll certainly inform you of our decision. Take care. Any other community input? Mr. Kroc? Absolutely, man.
Good evening.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. My name is Matt Kroc, as you mentioned. Is it safe to assume that you've all at least had a chance to read the letter that I sent to Mr. Bernard on the 11th?
Yes, sir?
Yeah,
Excellent.
we did.
Okay. I promise to keep this short. My wife is home with our 2 toddlers and 1-month-old, so the quicker I get home, the quicker I can help out with dinner. As I mentioned, my wife and I sent a letter to Mr. Bernard on January 11th, formally requesting to de-annex our Warrenville property from the Wheaton Park District. I will reiterate the fact that this has nothing to do with the performance of the Wheaton Park District. We live in that goofy little subdivision, that Hidden Woods subdivision, that's both Wheaton and Warrenville. We've been there a little over a year now, and as we looked into it more, we're actually the only house in 70-some-odd houses that's part of any park district, incorporated into any park district, and given the fact that we're actually a Warrenville address, we're not even part of the park district of our home city. Our request for de-annexation does meet all the criteria for disconnection. We're on the border. The disconnection will not separate any part of the park district from another part of the park district. All taxes are paid in full. A few days after sending the letter, I reached out to Tim Reinhold, the executive director of the Warrenville Park District, and he informed me that he's ready to move forward with annexing our property into Warrenville following this meeting. He also informed me that in a conversation he had with the executive director of Winfield, Mark Pulowski, that there actually is some type of precedent for a very similar situation granting our request. I guess there was fairly recently, I'm told, there was a Winfield address in a very similar situation that was de-annexed out of Wheaton and then annexed into Winfield where their current address. So again, thank you for receiving the formal petition from my wife and I to de-annex our Warrenville property from the Wheaton Park District. And honestly, thank you all very much for your support of the local community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kroc.
Thanks, Matt.
That, and your disconnect request is our last agenda item for tonight, so you're welcome to stay.
Terry, can I ask a question? Though,
Absolutely.
Just before we, so you can be annexed into the Warrenville Park District? Because I don't believe you're touching any part of the Warrenville Park District.
No, I don't believe I am, but talking with Mr. Reinhold, he said he was ready to move forward with it, yes.
Mike, can you clarify that? Because
You have to
I'll be real honest with you, that's a big point for me. And how I'm going to vote on this. To de-annex and not be part of a park district, I'm not going to be in favor of that. And I don't believe it's legal for you to be annexed into the Warrenville Park District because you don't touch any park district property. So I'd like to get some clarification on that.
You're absolutely correct. That would be what's known as spot annexation because the closest Warrenville Park District corporate boundary to Mr. Croc's property is 0.6 miles away. There would need to be an adjacent property. Mr. Reinbold might not have been aware of that when he spoke with you. He may certainly be prepared to annex any property, but spot annexation is not legal, so therefore your, as stated in your letter, your primary reason for wanting to disconnect is not possible.
Okay. He informed me he was, but sure, I'll
So, you know,
take your word on it.
that's a key point for in how I'm going to vote. So without proof that you would be going into another park district, I don't believe we can let taxpayers just decide not to be part of a park district. Because then the balance of the taxpayers have to pick up that burden because the levy's the same. So, you know, and I just think it would be important to know that when we
And there'll
vote,
be
but-
some further, you know, points of interest on this subject, you know, as we get into the, to our agenda item on this, and we'll elaborate on that shortly.
stick around.
So we want you to.
Because we're talking about this now, would you want to move forward with the action item?
You know, I think that we'll wait until
Okay.
it's on, up at this point in time.
Okay.
I mean, we broached part of the subject, but I think we'll do it all together.
All right, thank you.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Before I ask for approval on a motion, does anyone wish to remove any of the agenda items A through D from the agenda? Hearing nothing, I'll look for a motion to approve items A through D. A, approval of the disbursements totaling $10,582.36 for the period beginning January 13, 2021 and ending February 9, 2021. B, approval of the disbursements totaling $848,622.17 for the period beginning January 13, 2021 and ending February 9, 2021. C, approval of the January 20, 2021 board meeting minutes. And finally, D, approval of the amended 2021 board meeting schedule.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Fahey and a second by Fry. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Mike, call the roll.
Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Fry?
Yes.
Commissioner Fahey?
Yes.
President Me.
Yes. Moving on to new business item number 1. It's going to be a two-motion agenda item pertaining to the Community Center and Rice Water Park Filter Room Roof Repair Project. Motion pertaining to Sub A.
Yeah, I'm going to make that motion, Terry. So I'm going to move that we approve a contract for the Rice Pool Filter Room Structural Repair Project with Shafkis Brothers in the amount of $119,500 for the base bid, plus an additional $37,950 for alternates 1, 3, 4, and 6. I also move that the board should approve an allowance of $25,000 for additional unit cost repair work of concealed cracks, should that be necessary after the removal of concrete, at the unit costs that were provided in Shafkis's bid. I further move that the board authorize the Buildings and Grounds Subcommittee Chairman to approve the addition of other alternates, as well as contingency change orders up to 25% of the total contract amount during construction, for a total potential expenditure of approximately $228,000.
Second.
We got a motion by Kelly and a second by Fahey. Any comments, questions, or concerns? John and Rob, thank you for your hard work on this. I know it was a project. Mike, hearing none, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Morrill,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson,
Yes?
Commissioner Fry,
Yes.
Commissioner Fahey,
Yes.
Commissioner Vyers.
Yes.
President Mee.
Yes. I would look for a motion for item number 1, sub B, motion to approve a contract with Klein and Hoffman.
I'll move for the approval of the motion with Klein and Hoffman, the amount of $17,000 for bidding assistance and construction phase services. The board also authorizes the Building and Grounds Subcommittee Chairman to approve up to $5,000 in additional supervision costs during construction for a total potential expenditure of $23,000.
Second.
We have a motion by Fry and a second by Kelly. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Mike, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson,
Yes?
Commissioner Fry,
Yes.
Commissioner Fahey,
Yes.
Commissioner Vyers.
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill.
Yes.
President Mee.
Yes. Moving on to item number 2 under new business, I would look for a motion pertaining to Resolution 2021-03.
I'll move to approve Resolution 2021-03, which is the appointment to the Board of the DuPage County Historical Museum Foundation by the Wheaton Park District Commissioners. For further information, this is we jointly with the county share in selecting the board members. You want-
Second?
Who was the second?
Vyers.
Vyers?
Do you want to include their names?
And
in the
I can
motion?
add that to the motion, that would include the naming of David Thiel, Marty Keller, and Troy Rodman to the board.
And those are reappointments. So we have a motion by Hutchinson and a second by Vyers. Any comments, questions, or concerns?
Mike, that's it for our appointments then? We're full?
Yes, there is a
there was one-
there is a vacancy that a 13th position, but currently there are 6 positions that are filled by the Park District, 6 that are filled by DuPage County, and then a 13th position that can be voted on by the foundation board itself. We do have a viable candidate who's interested in filling that 13th position, which would not come before this board, but will be acted on at the next DuPage County Historical Museum Foundation Board meeting. So that the Park District's end of the business
Our
is full at
6
this
are
time.
full.
Correct. Our next vacancy or reappointment would occur in November of this year.
Anybody else? Mike, voice vote?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Moving on to item number 3 under new business, I would look for a motion to approve an amendment to the Wheaton Park General Park Use Ordinance.
Okay, then. I move to approve an amendment to the Wheaton Park District General Park Use Ordinance, Chapter 4, Section 32, smoking.
Second.
We have a motion by Vyers and a second by Fahey. Mike, any additional information you'd like to include?
Perhaps under discussion, I would read the amendment as it's brief.
Thank you.
Chapter 4, personal conduct in the park, Section 32, smoking and vaping is prohibited in all Park District buildings and within 15 feet of doors, windows that open, or ventilation intakes, in all Park District vehicles, at Rice and Northside pools, Cosley Zoo and Clock Tower Commons, Memorial Park, Arrowhead Restaurant South Patio, the ice rinks at the Central Athletic Complex, and adjacent seating and gathering areas, athletic fields, courts, and areas defined as contest sites, play areas, and adjacent spectator seating and gathering areas for football, baseball, softball, soccer, rugby, lacrosse, pickleball, tennis, and basketball, playgrounds and seating and gathering areas adjacent to playgrounds. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Jane?
I do. I have a couple questions. Mike, do you feel like this is as inclusive as what the kids were talking about in their presentation?
No.
No, I heard the use of, I don't know if the word universal was used, but I expect that their request is related to a universal ban on smoking and tobacco products in all Park District properties, outdoor
Right.
or indoor.
Also, if we define these areas as being by the football, baseball, softball, et cetera, then you would have to amend it in the future if you added other types of sports. Is that, do you want it to be that way?
No.
We can make it more permissive or just say, and we can add to this motion or any other sport or activity, sure.
Right.
As we
don't we do
discuss
that?
I'm sorry I
request.
didn't bring this up in the committee.
No, that's
meeting, but
okay. It's a good
I
point.
I wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah, we typically try to touch, all policies at least once every 3 years to,
Yeah.
as a best practice. So
Yeah.
it's not as though we'd never have to amend it again, but it is a good point for today.
Right. I've gotten to the point now where we have to update these things for these little tiny things. I just assume we approve it for any kind of sporting events.
And as we discuss the group's request in our next subcommittee meeting, we can discuss any ancillary issues involving smoking on our properties.
If it's acceptable for a motion to be amended and whoever seconded it to amend it to and just include all sports areas at the end of that list, or any and all sports areas, we can be done with it, and we can incorporate that language into the park use
All
ordinance.
sports areas.
I think we hold on
Golf's a
that.
sport.
Now, that might not, yeah.
I think let's hold on that amendment.
See what we're talking about now.
Second that.
Hold on a second.
Let's hold on that amendment now. We need some more discussion. So let's just act on the language that's in front of us today.
Very good.
I have a question, couple. Arrowhead American Grill patio, that's the upstairs patio?
Correct.
Correct, okay. Athletic fields areas defined, we're talking about that, and you talked about athletic areas. I'll give you an example, just hypothetical. Daughter plays softball in the adult league. I walk down to the far outfield, away from everybody, light up a cigar. What's the rule on that?
Shoot you.
It says adjacent spectator.
Thanks.
It says adjacent spectator seating and gathering areas. If you are alone and away from the athletic area, I'm not going to promise you, some random user of the park isn't going to hassle you, but I don't think the amendment, qualifies your area as.
Okay,
Okay, that's good.
okay,
We've not had an issue thus
Thanks for
far.
bringing that up.
So,
okay.
again, I would advise us to act on only the language that's in front of us tonight, and we can discuss any further amendments at our next subcommittee meeting.
And I think it's very strong too, so thanks, Mike.
Again, anybody else? We have a motion by Vires and a second by Fahey. Mike, roll call?
Excuse me, Commissioner Fry,
Yes.
Commissioner Fahey,
Yes.
Commissioner Vires.
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson.
Yes.
President Me.
Yes. And finally, our last item under new business. Before I look for a motion pertaining to Mr. Croc's petition to disconnect, Mike, would you read some additional information that'll help the board pertaining to what a disconnection of this particular property would mean?
Sure. As we discussed at our subcommittee meeting last week, unfortunately, Mr. Croc, my recommendation to the board is to deny your petition for formal disconnection for the following reasons. Disconnection of this property would interfere with possible future annexation requests by 5 adjacent properties. Disconnection of this property would result in the loss of property tax revenue that would then be absorbed by the rest of the Wheaton Park District taxpayers. Disconnection of this property would create the perception of precedent, potentially encouraging others who own property on the edge of the district's corporate boundary to petition to disconnect. And the petition to disconnect from the Wheaton Park District is predicated on the owner's stated desire to annex into the Warrenville Park District. Their annexation into the Warrenville Park District is not legally possible due to the property not being adjacent to that corporate boundary. It is in fact over half a mile, 0.6 mile from the Warrenville Park District boundary. So for that reason, my recommendation is to deny the petition.
Before I seek a motion on this, does anyone have any further questions of Mike or any clarifying information?
I have a question. Mike, we are not able then to annex anything else in this Hidden Valley area because if they de-annex?
No, we wouldn't, if the petition were granted, there are 5 properties that touch Mr. Croc's property that, without his property, would not be annexable.
They're the bridge.
Right, so every property that touches the property, our boundary, which is essentially Wheaton Warrenville South
property.
High School property, could annex in because they are touching a corporate boundary of the Park District. So when, 20 years ago, when the previous owners of Mr. Croc's property voluntarily annexed into the property, that then made it possible for there's 5 additional properties, if you look at the graphic I provided you, that would then have the potential future possibility of doing so. That we would then be removing that 20-year-old possibility. So that is just one of the 4 reasons that my recommendation is to deny.
With those factors in mind, I would look for a motion related to that petition to disconnect.
So Terry, I have a motion to deny the owners of 2 South 516 Center Avenue to disconnect from the Wheaton Park District.
Second.
We have a motion by Fahey and a second by Fry. Any comments, questions, or concerns from the board? None? Hearing none? Mike?
Commissioner Fahey,
Yes.
Commissioner Vyers.
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Fry.
Yes.
President May.
Yes. And Mr. Crock, I'm sure that didn't meet with, significant happiness on your part, but I appreciate the fact that you have, petitioned the board and you've taken your time to meet with us and address your concerns.
Sure.
Can I make a question instead of a comment?
Go ahead.
Thank you. I do have a question. Commissioner Kelly, you mentioned something that the burden would be on the rest of the taxpayers. Prior to 20 years ago, all that burden was on the taxpayers regardless. I'm not entirely sure it's really my burden to cover the rest of the Park District, especially for a city that I'm not a part of. As far as not allowing or disconnection would eliminate a possible connection by 5 other houses. There are at least 7 houses that I can count, possibly more that I'm missing, that currently have access to join the Wheaton Park District and never have from the history of it. I think it's very highly unlikely that another property in the Hidden Woods, which if you've been there, it's very secluded. Not a lot of people know that it's there. They like their privacy. They like the fact that it's unincorporated. It's highly unlikely that anyone else would join. In fact, that's one reason why we were requesting to get out is nobody else wants to be in the Park District. I mean, it is $1,500 a year. That is 10% of my tax bill. That over 10 years, that's going to be $15,000 now that I have to spend to support the other members of the Park District. I understand that's the policy in place, but I also don't feel that that's really appropriate, given the fact that all requirements are met for disconnection, that there is precedent with the Winfield Park District, and to say that my only concern was the fact that I'm in Warrenville and this is Wheaton. That's not the only concern. It's like most things, right? It's multifaceted, right? Part of it is over 10 years. I plan to live there for a long time. $15,000. Good grief. Do you know how many classes I need to enroll my kids in to make up the $20 difference between a member and non-member? How many rounds of golf I need to pay? I would like to have a reconsideration. Just I don't feel that it was treated as it should be.
I appreciate, your additional comments, and as the president of the board, I would say to you that, the board has deliberated on this and acted upon it. And, nothing's to say that, a situation might not present itself at some time in the future, but I would not foresee, a reconsideration of this. You mentioned, a situation of, you mentioned that you don't believe that your neighbors, would in the future, ask for annexation, to our park district. I don't know that you can predict that future. So just as you, hang just a minute, please. Now, when you bought that house, you bought it with the knowledge that you were within our park district boundary, right?
I didn't look through each individual item, but
Well, the fact.
I bought it as is, right?
Yeah, the fact remains that it
course.
was, so
course.
a previous owner or owners. So, looking to the future, we don't know what, will happen with the homes, adjacent to yours that, could be annexed if people wish to annex, through your property. We could have, 6, 7, whatever new owners. You said that we believe there's 5. You said that you believe that there may be up to 7, but we don't know what those, 5 to 7 owners are going to do in the future, new owners. They may wish to come into our park district, but if we disconnect you, then we can't do that. So we have to consider the future also. I know you have a consideration for the future of your family, and then we have a consideration for the future of the park district. So I would not hold out hope that we will reconsider this issue.
I will, but thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Moving on, that was the last item under new business. Moving on to reports from staff.
You'd see within your packet, we have provided the first fiscal period, January 2021, updated projection documents. You'd see what we've used. What we've used as our initial projection figure is the 2020 budget. This document will evolve as we move through 2021 from a standpoint of our actual projections for 2021. Just as it evolved over 2020 as the pandemic continued and our ability to operate fluctuated. So beyond that, I have nothing further to add. We will continue to provide this projection document as this year progresses. We've begun the audit process for 2020. Obviously, you're aware of the pre-audit figures for how we've completed 2020, which was, all things considered, favorable. So that's all I have for this evening, other than we did reference the budget development calendar for 2022 in the subcommittee meeting. It's provided here, and again, for your attention to know that in May, we will be seeing the annual review of our finance policies. That essentially is our kickoff for preparation of the subsequent fiscal year's budget. You would likely see a budget draft, as you have in previous years, in the vicinity of August or September for the first time. And then we have the Parks Plus Fitness Center 2020 recap. Thank you.
Comments, board?
I see the rest of my time to Ray.
I'll try and be quick. I saw in here that the marketing department's looking for a reprint of the golf history starts here. And are we looking to expand that, both the exhibit and the book?
The potential second publication of the book would include some minor updates that have been discovered as necessary subsequent to the first edition being put out. As far as the actual exhibit itself is concerned, we do have the primary benefactor that we have a lot of the exhibit material on loan from has continued to assemble his collection, and he is certainly interested in having additional cases created at Arrowhead to expand the exhibit, which we're interested in doing. It just is a matter of time and space and money. So we will be looking at that as part of the DuPage County Historical Museum Foundation Board's primary responsibility as providing that exhibit.
The Center for History had an extensive exhibit on golf, and I would hope that between us and the city and the museum, we might pursue that a little more aggressively if we can, see what information and what artifacts we can get that maybe are outstanding or floating around out there. But I think there's a great story to tell beyond what we have told, and I think it's something that the museum could jump on and Arrowhead could benefit from. Also want to congratulate the athletic staff and the rec staff for being so flexible during these very unknown times of not knowing what your restrictions are going to be almost from week to week. But the rec staff and the athletic staff have done a great job in trying to address community needs. Also want to congratulate Adam, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name.
Lewandowski.
For being named, one of the top under 30 individuals in I guess the nation to watch out for as being really top notch. So congratulations to Adam. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
Commissioner Kelly?
Nothing.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
I decided I was going to make a list of things tonight, too, because I only have a few more meetings. You'll just have to bear with me.
The two Johns are not going to like you
I
too
know,
much.
I know. They're going to be a little hostile
feeling
because
the
they want to
love.
get out of here sooner. I realized, and I knew we had talked about this before, but this year's the 100th anniversary of the Wheaton Park District. It really seems like a year where we want to try to emphasize that as much as we possibly can. Dedication at Memorial Park and so forth. So I won't be with you during some of those kinds of festivities.
You can be with us.
Well, I will attend, but I will not be a member of this board. And so I hope that we really take great advantage of that. And I hope and I saw that Zach Bishop at the museum is going to be collecting information about anything that's happened with the Park District. So I'm looking to the board's historian to start hustling over there and providing
Commissioner
some
Kelly?
information about things that went on with the Park District, because I'm pretty sure he's covered almost 99 of those 100 years.
I think you're right. Jane, before you continue, can I just
Yeah, please.
make a comment about the anniversary? So you're absolutely correct, and our museum staff is conducting active research amongst staff and community members, and we'll reach out to some former staff members like Ray who are no longer here but still with us. The Park District was incorporated in May of '21, and because of the pandemic continuing to delay, gathering to a certain degree, to a large degree, and the fact that May was that actual date of incorporation, we're formally kicking off the 100th anniversary celebration in May, and then we'll continue through the beginning of 2022 for that year-long recognition of this milestone. So with essentially the beginning of the special event season, which, we're planning on running special events this year, although they'll look different due to gathering limitations. That's the intention. So there'll be a lot of marketing and public information and celebrations around all of our activities that occur beginning in May.
Yeah, I think that that's a phenomenal feat, because in this area, I don't think that there are that many 100-year-old park districts.
Ray, can you answer that?
Historian. Secondly, I wanted to congratulate Arrowhead on that very nice being selected like the third best public golf course in Chicago. It was Chicago area, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was a phenomenal.
Chicago.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I thought that was a phenomenal article, and congratulations to them for doing that. I also was very impressed with whatever the campaign is that Causley is running now to join the herd. And so I've joined the herd, and I'm going to encourage everybody at home to find out more information about it. It's an actual fundraising program for Causley, but it makes so much sense for just a continual kind of donation. And I'm really pleased that they have recognized that they've done such a good job this past year in making up for funds they lost because of revenue sources. So I thought that was great. And reading the brochure, I was again reminded of how many partnerships the Wheaton Park District has with, you name it, Rotary, Lions Club, League of Women Voters, all of the sports groups, and so forth. And I just think it's a continuing effort to always show how much this park district is interrelated with this community. So congratulations. That's all I have for tonight.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jane. Commissioner Fry?
You stole my thunder.
Commissioner Fahey?
I'm good.
Okay, I don't want to disappoint the board, so I have a few comments. Rob, you're here. I want to thank you and your park staff, for all the significant snow clearing efforts. I know it's been tough over the last couple of weeks, I guess. It's been, we had a nice start to the winter, but it's not been a good ending. So you guys are doing well. Cosley Zoo was mentioned. I want to thank our attendees. We had more Cosley Zoo attendees in January of this year than we did in January of last year, and this is even under pandemic conditions. And thanks to our continuing Cosley donors, they donated a significant amount of money to us in January. I'm not sure what it all means, but Cosley was selected as the accredited institution to take over the AZA social media networks. I'm not sure what all that means, Mike, but it sounds impressive.
We've got a staff full of go-getters over there.
I guess we do. And I'm sure that any of you who are on our email blast, and I'm sure you've seen that Cosley's going to be open all winter. So, keep those visits coming. I got to thank Justin Kirtland and, the golf staff or the Arrowhead staff, for all the trail grooming they've done at Arrowhead. I like to cross-country ski, so I've been out there probably about 8 times. We've had a lot of people out there cross-country skiing. Those guys have done a great job on grooming the trails. So it's, I was out there again last night, and we still had people doing it. So they're braving the weather, and we have not had those conditions out there in forever. To Margie, thanks for her ongoing, marketing efforts. She's kicking it. So, she deserves some recognition. Ray already mentioned Lewandowski. Adam's doing a great job and has. The athletic staff, for maintaining our Central Athletic Center ice rinks. They're well used. I've been by there several times. People are doing it, and they're getting past the reservations. It was interesting to see that the baseball, softball registration for spring is up about 19% over this time last year. So it looks like the pandemic is not keeping them down. And then just a couple comments about the PPF, Parks Plus Fitness exec summary. I'm a longtime member, as Ray is, and I've got to commend them for all the sanitizing stations that they put out, and they're sanitizing all the equipment twice a day. That's pretty significant, and they don't miss. And once again, it's a dedication of the staff. That exec summary was very helpful to me about where Parks Plus Fitness is and all the competition that we have from all of the centers around us, and we're still holding our own. And so Michelle Artis, she's our director over there, and her and, the trainers, they're doing a great job. But it's, Ray, I don't know how much you're getting there now, but, there's still people visiting, still people using it. So, and then finally, just, PPF has done a great job with Margie on, a lot of creative marketing and membership and sales promotion initiatives. And so it's working. We're still in business. So that's all I got. Thank you for your patience. Anyone else? We have no need for a closed session tonight. I do want to update the board just briefly on the performance evaluation for our exec director, Mike Bernard, for the 2020 year. I'm still waiting for some feedback from 2 of our commissioners, and you've all seen, what I've provided. I've had 2 other reports or 2 other assessments from board members, which I'll include, and then as soon as I get the feedback from the other 2 commissioners, then we'll conclude that. I would not foresee any discussion pertaining to compensation at this present time for our exec director, and essentially it's not only based on his recommendation, to delay that, but it's also, seemingly consensus of the board to not move in that direction. So again, as soon as I get the other two, the feedback from the other two commissioners, we'll conclude this. So I would assume we'll conclude it sometime in March. Sorry for the delay, Mike. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Oh, it's Hodgkinson and somebody.
Fires.
And Virus, okay.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're done. Thanks, Don.